This already happened, you just weren't paying attention, this wasn't an accident, it was a decision. There's a town in America where the government evacuated everyone, and still won't say why. You think this is rare. It's not. Most people misunderstand this immediately. And this is where the lie starts. That detail changes everything. Pause. This part matters. The roads were sealed. The houses were left exactly as they were. Kids' toys still in the yards. Dishes still in the sinks. And the weirdest part, it's still called Helltown on the map. America loves the idea of a small town. White fences. Porch swings. That one cop who knows your dog's name better than your real one. But there's another America, one that doesn't make postcards. Places where streetlights flicker even when the power's out. Where Google Maps says you've arrived but nothing's there. And when you ask locals about the screaming in the woods, te just say don't ask. These aren't haunted houses you buy tickets for. No gift shop. No jump scares on schedule. These are real towns. Forgotten. Abandoned. Or worse, still alive. Tonight, we're counting down 80 of the creepiest small towns in the United States. Not because they're spooky, but because they exist. The kind of places where libraries still operate, but no one checks out books. Entire towns change states without moving in one desert town. The air itself makes people disappear. Think you know creepy towns. You don't. And before we start, hit subscribe. Not for me. For you, because the next time you take a wrong turn on a back road, you'll want to know where not to stop. This wasn't random. Dudleytown, Connecticut. There's a town in Connecticut where the population dropped to 0, and somehow the fear stayed. No power. No residents. No welcome sign. Just trees that grew back faster than the people ever could. Dudleytown started like every colonial dream. Farming, land, log homes. Family names carved into stone. Tucked inside the valley locals, now called Dark Entry Forest. Which is already doing too much foreshadowing. At its peak in the 1740s, a few dozen families lived here. Quiet. Hopeful. Normal. Then the tragedies stacked. Crops failed. Disease hit. People went blind. People went insane. People vanished. One man wandered into the woods and never came back. Another reportedly died screaming after a fall, with no witnesses. Coincidence? Maybe? But the town emptied fast. Historians blame bad soil and isolation. Locals blame a curse tied to the Dudley family, whose lineage in England was apparently allergic to happiness. What they don't advertise? Every attempt to resettle Dudleytown also failed. Even skeptics left. By the mid-1800s, population 0. Today, Axe is officially closed, trespassing, enforced, land controlled by private trusts. Emergency calls spiked from hikers reporting panic and disorientation. Tourism revenue, 0 amenities, 0 warnings. Plenty. One Reddit hiker put it best. Nothing happened. That's the problem. I've never wanted to leave a place faster. Dudleytown isn't dangerous because something happens. It's dangerous because nothing does. No birds. No wind. Just your thoughts, getting louder. Great place, if you enjoy. Hike in paranoia and realizing your flashlight battery's at 3%. And let's talk about Connecticut forests for a second. Why do they always feel like they're judging you? Every branch snap feels personal. Every trail marker feels optional. You're either ankle deep in mud, or tripping over a 300-year-old stone wall like colonial parkour. Pick a struggle. And if you think an empty town is unsettling, wait until we hit one where people are still there but the sun disappears for months. Skagway, Alaska. Welcome to a town where the population triples in summer, and winter turns your brain against you. Skagway, Alaska. A historic old Rouge town clinging to the coastline like a bad idea that never left. In summer, cruise ships, tourists, vintage railways, souvenir shops pretending it's normal. Then October hits. The ships leave. The shops close. The sun disappears. And what's left? Silence, darkness, and the feeling you're being watched, not by something paranormal, but by your own thoughts. Population, summer, thousands, winter, under 850 daylight in December, 3 to 4 hours, sometimes less. Mental health services. Minimal, especially off-season. Locals say winter here does something to your mind. Sleep cycles collapse. Dreams get strange thoughts. Look, cabin fever isn't a metaphor here. It's tracked in public health data. Crime rate, low. But paranoia spikes. Because Skagway isn't haunted. It's a psychological pressure cooker. People keep all the lights on. Not for visibility. For company at 2:47 p.m. because that's when the sun sets in December. And the cold. It's not cold. It's wet cold. Soul level cold. The kind that negotiates ownership of your skeleton. Try walking to the post office without questioning every decision that led you there. Now imagine doing that every day for 70 straight days. Be honest. Could you survive 60+ days without sun? Or would your shower start hearing your secrets? Mineral Wells, Texas. There's a hotel in Texas so haunted that even the ghosts seem tired of working nights. Welcome to Mineral Wells, where your anxiety might be natural. But your water definitely isn't. Once upon a time, this was the wellness capital of Texas. Early 1900s. Healing mineral water. Doctors recommending it. People bottling it and shipping it across the country like it was liquid hope. If TikTok existed back then, this place would have been sponsored by chiropractors, miracle cures, and probably 3 ghosts named Margaret. Mineral Wells boomed, and then it didn't. The crown jewel of the town is the Baker Hotel, a 14-story limestone monster that once hosted celebrities, oil tycoons, and apparently something that never checked out. Population. Approximately 14,800 median home price. Tilde $175,000. Crime rate. 49% higher than national average unemployment. Approximately 6.2% tourism spikes once a year. Not for festivals. 4 haunted tours. You know, a town is struggling when its main economic driver is paranormal discomfort. Locals don't really deny the hauntings. They just manage around them. People report sleep paralysis, cold spots, electronics, dying footsteps in empty buildings. Paranormal teams show up with EMF meters and night vision cameras. Locals just leave the lights on. Downtown feels half renovated, half forgotten, like a metaphor nobody asked for. Crosswalk buttons don't work, but that's fine. The ghosts don't jaywalk. And good luck finding coffee after 3 p.m. either. It's closed. Or the barista is busy sage cleansing the espresso machine. Picture this. You walk into the Baker Hotel lobby at dusk, paint peeling, air thick with mildew and regret. Your footsteps echo too long. You pass a mirror, and for half a second, you swear someone's behind you. Blink. Nothing. Also, yes, the mineral water is still available. It still smells like old pennies. It's still legally drinkable. Emotionally? Absolutely not. Mineral Wells isn't abandoned. It's waiting. Upstairs, Kietley, Cairo, Illinois. Cairo, Illinois should have been rich. 2 rivers. Prime trade routes. A literal geographic cheat code. Instead, it's one of the quietest collapses in America. And the silence does most of the talking. Stand on the levee where the Ohio and Mississippi rivers meet. Barges glide past, water everywhere. Opportunity everywhere. Now, turn around. Boarded storefronts. Cracked sidewalks. A downtown that looks paused meets. Cairo isn't creepy because it's old. It's creepy because it was supposed to win. Let's talk numbers. Population. Approximately 1,700 down from 15,000 in the 1920s. Vacancy rate. Over 70% of buildings abandoned. Median home price. Over 70% of $55,000 and still not moving poverty rate. 45%, nearly 4 times the national average unemployment. Consistently double Illinois average, one local wrote online. It's not dangerous, it's just empty. And that's worse. Cairo wasn't just neglected, it was managed into a corner. Decades of redlining, federal disinvestment, state-level neglect. When jobs left, help didn't come. When health it arrived as paperwork, not solutions. Living here means cheap rent, expensive patient services are thin. Grocery stores are scarce. Schools struggle. Opportunity exists about an hour away. From a delivery driver's perspective, Cairo is a nightmare. Half the addresses don't exist anymore. Google Maps lies streets dead end into what used to be something. You're not lost. The town just moved on without telling the roads. Picture waking up to river fog sliding past your window. No traffic, no rush. Peaceful. Now imagine needing a job, a doctor, or a real grocery store, and realizing all of them are far enough away to feel personal. In Naperville, Illinois, people worry about rising property taxes. In Cairo, they worry if the town itself will still exist in 10 years. Centralia, Pennsylvania. There's a town in Pennsylvania that's been on fire for over 60 years, and nobody put it out. The streets crack open. Smoke pours from the ground. The air smells like sulfur and bad decisions. And somehow, it still has a zip code. Welcome to Centralia, normal coal town. Churches. Diners. Little League. One of those places where everybody's grandpa worked underground. Then the town caught fire. From below, the trigger, a trash burn in an old mining trench. That trench connected to a massive web of coal veins beneath the town. The fire spread, and spread, and spread. By the time officials realized it was unstoppable, it was already under their feet. The response, a masterclass in slow-motion failure. 1,984. Congress allocates $42 million to relocate residents. Eminent domain kicks in. Most people leave. A few refuse. 1,992. The entire town is condemned. Today, population. 5 yes. 5. Estimated underground fire. Over 400 acres expected duration. Up to 250 more years. Crime rate. 0%. Hard to commit crime when there's no one left. Homes. Bulldozed. Highway. Rerouted. Streets. Closed. Fire. Still burning. Here's the part that messes with people. It's technically illegal to live there, but the last residents sued the state, and won. They have life estates, which means they can stay until they die. After that, the land goes back to the state. Nothing says freedom like permission to die on your own smoldering lawn. And yet, people treat Centralia like a tourist attraction. Urban explorers, YouTubers, people doing backflips on cracked asphalt like it's a skate park built by Satan. Someone spray-painted, Slenderman was here. No. He left. This place is too much even for him. Picture stepping outside your house. The road is steaming. The ground hisses. It smells like burnt pennies. Your dog refuses to cross the driveway. You haven't had a neighbor since 1993. A Reddit post summed it up. Expected ghosts. Got a flat tire and sulfur poisoning. Would not camp again. Centralia isn't terrifying because it's supernatural. It's terrifying because it's bureaucratic. For decades, agencies passed responsibility like a hot coal. Town, county, state, federal. Nobody. One official once said, "It's not an emergency. It's a slow-moving inconvenience." An inconvenience. The ground was literally melting. In most towns, potholes take weeks to fix. In Centralia, the road disappeared, so they deleted it from the map. Elkhorn, Wisconsin, Elkhorn calls itself normal. That's how you know something's wrong. On the surface, it's Midwest perfection. Tree-lined streets, high school football, a downtown that smells like coffee and quiet ambition. Population, approximately 10,000 median home price, tilde 260,000 crime rate, low unemployment. Stable looks safe, feels safe, until you ask one question. Why is there a werewolf statue downtown? Elkhorn is the werewolf capital of the world. Not metaphorically, not ironically. Officially. Every year, they host the Werewolf Run. Costumes, merch, kids dressed like small furry nightmares, asking for funnel cake. This goes back to the 1930s. A local legend, a farmer claimed a half-man, half-wolf, attacked him on Bray Road. More sightings followed, glowing eyes, inhuman speed. Creatures that didn't move like animals or people. Most towns bury stories like that. Elkhorn printed brochures. Locals laugh it off. They'll say it's just folklore. Tourism. Branding. But here's the thing. They never deny the sightings. They just stop talking when you ask follow-up questions. Police reports from the 80s mention large, unidentified animals, damaged vehicles, claw marks too big for known wildlife, and then nothing. No conclusions, no press conferences, no explanations. Just silence. Drive Bray Road at night. No streetlights, no shoulders. Cornfields that absorb sound. Your headlights feel weak, like they're apologizing. People say if you pull over and turn the engine off, you'll hear breathing, not wind. Breathing. Elkhorn isn't dangerous. It's watched. Ajo. Arizona Ajo sits in the desert like a thought that never finished forming. Southwest Arizona. Hours from anything. Heat that feels personal. Population, 3,000. Median home price, $150,000. Summer temperatures, 115 degrees Fahrenheit plus. Plus the name Ayo comes from Spanish for garlic. Nothing here smells like garlic anymore. This was a mining town. Copper. Big money. Union jobs. Then the mine closed. And the town didn't recover. It just slowed down, like something bleeding out quietly. Naja has one grocery store, one mine road, one bar. Everyone knows not to ask questions in. The desert here isn't empty. It's crowded with things that don't want to be found. Border, patrol activity, smuggling routes, unmarked graves. Migrants die out here every year. Heat, dehydration, getting lost. Locals find backpacks, shoes, sometimes bones. No news coverage, just another Tuesday. At night, the desert hums, not insects. Infrastructure, drones, helicopters. Engines without headlights. You'll see lights moving where there are no roads. Stopping, starting, vanishing. People swear they hear voices carried on the wind. Spanish, English, sometimes neither. Ayo doesn't feel haunted. It feels used, like the land knows it's a tool, and tools don't get sympathy. Whittier, Alaska. In Whittier, Alaska. Almost everyone lives in one building. Yes, you listen, one building. The Begich Towers, 14 stories. Concrete. Cold. Population, 280 residents in Begich. Towers, 85% inside the building. School, post office, grocery store, police station, church. You can live your entire life without going outside. And in winter you probably do. Whittier gets over 200 inches of snow a year. Winds strong enough to knock adults down. Sunlight that disappears for months. Isolation isn't a side effect, it's the design. There's only one road in and out, a tunnel, shared with trains. It closes at night. Miss the tunnel window, you're not going anywhere. Residents know everyone, and that's not comforting. It's suffocating. Arguments echo through hallways. Breakups become building-wide events. There's no anonymity. If you cry at night, someone hears it. People say the building feels alive, not haunted. Aware. Pipes knock, like Morse code. Elevators stop on floors, nobody pressed. Hallway lights flicker in patterns. Children play inside for months. They stop asking what weather feels like. One former resident said, "It wasn't cabin fever, it was cabin identity loss." Privacy doesn't exist here. You're always someone's neighbor, someone's story, someone's concern. And if you leave, everyone knows why. Whittier isn't creepy because it's cold. It's creepy because it removes the option to disappear. We've crossed the halfway point. From here on, the towns aren't just strange. They're warnings. Gary, Indiana. Gary wasn't supposed to fail. It was designed to win. Founded by U.S. Steel. Built for workers. Engineered prosperity. At its peak, population, 178,000 today. Barely 65,000. And fallen, median home price, $. Some homes sell for less than a used iPhone. Unemployment. Consistently above national average, but numbers don't explain Gary. Silence does. Downtown looks like a city after evacuation orders nobody remembers issuing. Skyscrapers with broken windows. Theaters with trees growing inside. Schools frozen. Mid-lesson chalk. Still on boards. And no, this isn't abandonment from a century ago. This is recent factories. Closed jobs, banished, tax base collapsed. And then came the exodus. Crime didn't cause the decline. Crime followed it. When opportunity leaves, desperation moves in. Locals are tired of being called dangerous. They're not violent, they're forgotten. Drive through Gary at sunset. The light hits broken glass just right. It looks beautiful. That's the worst part, because beauty here feels accidental. Unintended. Like the city is embarrassed by it. One resident said, "People film our homes like it's a zoo, then ask why we don't smile." Gary isn't dead. It's being watched while it starves. Salton Sea. California, the Salton Sea is what happens when a mistake refuses to evaporate. Created accidentally in 1905. An irrigation failure flooded the desert. For decades, it worked. Resorts, celebrities, speedboats. Then the water stopped coming. Now, it's toxic. Population nearby, shrinking every year. Salinity, higher than the ocean. The shoreline is made of fish bones. Literally, millions of dead fish crunching under your feet like broken porcelain. The smell hits first. Rot, sulfur, decay that coats your throat. As water recedes, it leaves behind exposed lake bed. Dust storms carry arsenic and pesticides into nearby towns. Asthma rates here are some of the highest in California. Homes sell for cheap, then don't sell at all. People live in trailers with taped windows, not for privacy, for dust. At night, the sea makes sounds. Popping, crackling, like it's breathing. Bombay Beach looks post-apocalyptic. Art installations. Abandoned boats. A playground buried halfway in sand. Someone painted a sign. "Welcome to the end of the world." Nobody took it down. Salton Sea isn't cursed. It's neglected on a chemical level, and every year it gets closer to becoming uninhabitable. McCarthy. Alaska McCarthy doesn't want you. That's not marketing. That's survival. Deep inside Wrangell St. Elias National Park, this town sits at the edge of the map. Population, 40 permanent residents. To get there, a long gravel road, no guardrails, one-lane bridges, no cell service. In winter, most roads are unusable. McCarthy was a mining town. Copper. Big money. Then, the mine closed. But unlike others, the people who stayed on purpose. There's no police station. No hospital. No fast help. If something goes wrong, you wait and hope. The town has a reputation. No law enforcement. Strong personalities. Zero patience for outsiders. Locals don't introduce themselves. You earn recognition. Bars close when the bartender decides. Arguments end when someone leaves or doesn't. You're responsible for yourself here. Completely. People disappear sometimes. Not dramatically. Quietly. They just stop showing up. And nobody panics. Because panic doesn't help. McCarthy isn't scary because it's violent. It's scary because help is optional, and nature doesn't negotiate. East St. Louis, Illinois. East St. Louis is proof that geography alone doesn't save you. It sits right next to St. Louis, Missouri. Same river, same rail lines, same highways, completely different reality. At its peak, population, 82,000 today. Barely 18,000 median household income. Less than $25,000 poverty rate. Over 35%, this wasn't a slow fade. It was a controlled demolition. Factories closed. Tax base collapsed. Services vanished. What remained was a city asked to survive without tools. Abandoned homes collapse in on themselves. Entire blocks return to grass. Police response times stretch. Fire departments close stations. Street lights go dark. And when the lights go out, everything else follows. The media loves crime statistics, but they don't show the normal days. Kids waiting for buses that don't come. Elderly residents choosing between food and medication. Families living next to burned-out buildings because moving costs money they don't have. One resident said, "People think we're dangerous. We're just tired." East St. Louis isn't lawless. It's unsupported. Slab City, California. Slab City isn't a town. It's a decision. Located in the California desert. Built on an abandoned military base. No government. No utilities. No taxes. Population. Anywhere from 150 to 2,000, depending on season. Electricity? Solar panels. Car batteries. Water. Brought in. Law enforcement. Technically, yes. Practically, no. People come here to disappear. Veterans. Runaways. Artists. People who burned bridges and decided not to rebuild them. Structures are made from pallets, tarps, scrap metal, whatever. Didn't say no at night. Music drifts across the desert. Generators hum. Arguments flare and die. There are rules, unwritten, strict. Don't steal. Don't bring problems. Don't they expect help? The famous sign reads, "You are now entering Slab City. The last free place. Freedom here is expensive. Medical care, hours away. Heat kills. Drugs circulate. Violence happens, and nobody calls it shocking, because everyone here chose it. Slab City isn't chaos. It's opt-out America." Manawi, Nebraska Manawi, has a mayor. A librarian, a bartender, all the same person. Population. 1, yes, 1. Her name is Elsie Eiler. She's the last resident of Manawi. Every year, she holds a town election. She votes for herself. She wins. She issues her own liquor license. Because legally, someone has to. The town has a bar, a library, a sign welcoming you. That's it. Her husband died years ago. Everyone else left or passed. She stayed. Why? because leaving felt worse. She maintains the cemetery, opens the bar for travelers, dusts books nobody checks out. When it snows, she clears the roads herself. Silence here isn't eerie. It's complete. There's no echo, no background noise, just wind and memory. Manawi doesn't ask for attention. It doesn't want saving. It's just proof that a town can end without disappearing. Camden, New Jersey. Camden sits across the river from Philadelphia. You can see opportunity from here. That's the problem. At its worst, Camden was labeled America's most dangerous city. Headlines loved that. It was clean, simple, blame-friendly. What they didn't explain was how Camden got there. Factories closed. Ports automated jobs beneath it. The tax base collapsed, but the population didn't. People couldn't leave. Rent elsewhere costs money. Median household income. Tilde, $30,000 poverty rate. Over 35% entire neighborhoods lost. Grocery stores, banks, hospitals, police force disbanded in 2013. Rebuilt from scratch. Crime dropped, but trust didn't magically return. Abandoned houses still outnumber occupied ones. Schools struggle. Residents commute hours for work. One local put it simply, we're not a warning. We're a result. Camden isn't failing. It already fell. What you're seeing now is what comes after. Flint, Michigan. Flint didn't collapse quietly. It collapsed on camera. Once a powerhouse of General Motors, union jobs, middle-class stability. Then the factories left. Then the water changed. In 2014, officials switched Flint's water source. Cost-cutting. Corrosion control wasn't implemented. Lead leached into the water supply. Residents complained. They were ignored. Children drank poison. Parents bathed babies in it. And the government said, it's fine. Population down nearly 50% from its peak. Trust gone. Even today, people don't drink from the tap. Filters everywhere. Bottled water stacked like currency. One resident said, they didn't just poison our water, they poisoned our faith. Flint didn't fail. It was fate. Pitcher, Oklahoma. Pitcher should not exist. Lead and zinc mining built this town, and then poisoned it. At its peak, population, 14,000 today. Zero. Officially, decades of mining left behind, towering piles of toxic waste called chat. Children played in it. Built bike ramps, tracked it into homes, blood lead levels skyrocketed. Cancer rates followed. The EPA arrived too late. In 2008, a tornado tore through the town, destroyed what little was left. That was the excuse officials needed. The buyouts began. Residents were paid to leave. Houses were bulldozed. Schools demolished. Streets erased. Now, no services. No residents. No future. Just poisoned soil and warning signs. Pitcher isn't abandoned. It was. Era said. Detroit. Michigan, Detroit is not a ghost town. It's something harder. At its peak, population 1.85 million. Today, around 630,000 entire neighborhoods empty. Street grids with no houses, schools with no students. And yet, Detroit refuses to die. People rebuild. Artists move in. Businesses return slowly. But the scars remain. Streetlights out. Blocks without names. Homes collapsing from the inside out. Detroit shows you both futures at once. What happens when a system abandons a city, and what happens when people refuse to leave. This isn't about crime, or poverty, or headlines. It's about what progress forgets. Every town on this list had a purpose, a reason. A futuronce, they weren't mistakes. They were discarded, and the uncomfortable truth. Nothing about them is unique. They're just earlier. Final line, do not skip if you ever wonder how a country declines. Don't look at capitals. Don't look at skylines. Look at the places that stopped being useful, because that's where the truth lives. And it's still breathing. Late video 2040 MIN at this point. Survival replaced hope. This is where the system quietly walked away. By now, the town already knew the ending. Listen closely. This is the warning, and this is why this place still exists. Barely. Most people turn the video off here. Stay. This isn't history. It's a preview. And the scariest part, this isn't rare. By now, the damage was irreversible. This is what abandonment looks like in real time. Most people think collapse is loud. Riots, sirens, headlines. But that's not how it really happens. It happens quietly. One closed factory. One ignored complaint. One town demade. Not worth fixing. Every place in this video had people who believed they were building a future. They worked. They stayed. They trusted the system. And the system moved on. These towns aren't anomalies. They're early warnings. Because decline doesn't start when buildings fall. It starts when attention leaves. So the next time you hear about a place no one wants to live, ask yourself why and who decided that. If this video changed how you see the map, leave a comment with the town that disturbed you most. Because silence is how this happens.